Hey guys, what's up? I'm kind of doing a little bit of a follow-up on the last one I just did because I noticed that a few people have started talking about the whole life is sacred thing that I kind of tacked at the end of that one, which I think is pretty cool. I'm glad that a lot of people have seen that video as something to discuss. By the way, if it looks like I'm tired, it is. I'm supposed to be sleeping, and I'm going to be doing that as soon as I'm done recording this, but I wanted to talk about this before it left my head. Should life be considered sacred? I say it depends. And I know this is an effed up thing to say, and keep in mind that I'm leaving this open-ended. I try to leave my videos open-ended so that people can think about it, because it's not like I'm a great authority or anything. And besides, it's better to think about it than to be given an absolute answer and just accept it, because that's how we end up getting stuck with bullshit. Here's what I mean by it depends. In the grand scheme of things, if you look at the way life works on this planet, one can technically say that it isn't really sacred, in the sense that it isn't something that has to be kept at all costs, at least on the individual level. If you look at the way nature functions on this planet, life seems to feed on life. You got animals who feast upon other animals in order to live. And animals that happen to be herbivores still feast upon living organisms, i.e. plants. They are alive, whether we, many times we don't think that they are because they don't move or talk, but they are alive in their own way. And that life is destroyed so that another one may live. So, in a technical sense, you can say that it's not sacred, in the sense that it's not something to be kept because it's destroyed all the time to keep life going. But if we're going to be looking at this in, I guess for a lack of a better term, a holistic sense, it would be considered sacred, in the sense that life has to, the act of taking another life in order to sustain your own, and the fact that that's how the cycle continues going, you can sort of consider life to be sacred. And this is something I've personally held, but I have no real proof of it, and it's just something I'm wondering. This could be the reason why, let's say that, the whole saying grace at meals, where that kind of came from. Because I used to remember hearing about with certain older tribes or certain American Indian groups or certain different ancient peoples around the world, when they would kill an animal before eating it, it was recognized that you were snuffing out a life, and that you were somehow giving reverence to that life that you just took in order to sustain your own. It's like, you're a bit of an unwilling sacrifice, I understand that, but even so, thanks for adding your flesh to mine, in that sort of sense. Even though I'm pretty sure that thing would rather be alive than dead, giving thanks is kind of a small consideration, but I think you guys get what I'm talking about, at least. I hope you get what I'm trying to hit at here. So I guess in that sense, you can kind of see it as sacred. But we're talking about human society here. And should human society consider human life to be sacred? I'm sure with many of you guys that would be a lot more important than just simply talking about life, period, life on this planet. So, in that sense, should life be considered sacred? Now, again, many people would consider that, a no-brainer. Of course, people would want life to be considered sacred, because you don't got to worry about people going over and putting a brick in the back of your head for stupid reasons. I mean, this is how society, in one of the cores of society, don't kill the other dude for no freaking reason. And there's a lot of evidence to show that on a genetic level, it's something that human beings respect. The whole, you're living with like-minded people, or you're living with a family, you're living with a tribe, you're not going to want harm done to them, therefore you would consider their lives to be, special to you, i.e. sacred. But interestingly enough, this is not the morality that people in charge or people who run societies necessarily follow. Which is, I think, one of the things that Carlin was hinting at in his comedy act when he was talking about, is life really sacred? And it's something that I myself have noticed with certain societies. It's funny how, on the layman's level, on the peasant level, and I'm using that term peasant on purpose, on, the ground level, the common man level, it's always taught life is sacred, don't kill, respect all life. And it's a good rule. I don't really have anything against that. But when you look at the people who made up those rules and gave you those rules, they don't follow it themselves. When they want something and it turns out that they need to take a life for it, they'll do it. They don't see any reason not to. And sometimes they'll even do it not necessarily because they want to take something from you. Well, actually, you know, it is because they want to take it from you. Like I was about to say, that think about certain businesses that would put out a product that they know sooner or later is going to hurt a whole lot of people. And they sit down and think, what's going to cost more? Or actually, which is going to cause us to lose more money? Us pulling this product back and doing a lot more research on it to make it work? Or the fines we're going to have to pay after they find out that this stuff is harming people? And many times they're like, you know what, we can pay the fines. It's going to cost us less money to do that. We'll make a killing off of this product right now, and then by the time they catch us, we'll probably find some way to improve it. So fuck it, send it out there. And people die. And they don't care. Because it ain't them. And it's horrifying to us. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, how could you think that way? But a lot of people in charge think that way. Because once you're in power, human life, people who you just see as subjects, as peons, their lives don't mean shit to you. And to some people who really don't understand that mentality, well, think about how people in this country think about people in other countries or their enemies. They don't think much about them dying or them being killed off or harmful things happening to them. To them, they're just symbols of something that they hate. And they have no problem seeing them dead as an abstract. They don't, I mean, if you see somebody face to face, unless you're completely fucking demented, and we know there are a lot of people out there who will look at you face to face and still hate your guts. But generally, when you're dealing with a human being face to face, even if you really dislike somebody, you generally don't want them dead unless they've really done something harmful to you. But generally, it's just like, you don't actually want to see them die. You still, you respect them at least on that small level. But sometimes when you think about when people are portrayed as abstracts, like the way in this country, the way they portray Muslims around the world as some type of crazy terrorist type person they don't care about life, they don't care about freedom and all this other BS that they say about them. Then of course a whole lot of people, yeah, drop the bomb on them. Don't think twice about it. But they're alive. Hell, even in this country, in our own country, we got a whole lot of divides going on. North against South, blacks against whites, atheists versus religious, Muslims versus Christians. I mean, all the conservatives versus liberals. And sometimes the bile gets so strong that, man, it would just be better if they were just fucking killed off. Again, life's sacred, huh? It's funny how even though I say that that's a rule that we on the peasant level tend to follow, sometimes even we break that. And people in power definitely break that. For people who are thinking I'm exaggerating about that or just think I'm paranoid, well, look at some of the books that they've been reading for years that they consider some of the great classics. The Art of War, the 36 Strategies. Well, I hesitate to say The Prince, that Machiavelli book, because he really, I mean, the dude who wrote the book was really writing that just to get a job. It wasn't necessarily what he believed. It was to impress the nobles that he can, end up working for them. But still, those are the type of books that people in power read. And if you guys have actually read those books, you'll see that save for maybe The Art of War, they really don't care too much about, motherfuckers gotta die. And even The Art of War, even though it says that you should not go to war unless it's for a damn good reason, they still talk about ways of using your army like objects in order to achieve a goal. Like one of the strategies is to put them in a desperate situation where either if they have to fight in order to live, you put them in a life or death situation to force them to fight their best. Someone who considers life to be sacred, all human life to be sacred, wouldn't necessarily do that to people. So, I guess in the end, this whole thing about, is human life sacred? Should we consider life to be sacred? I mean, I personally would think that we should, see it. We should see all life, quite frankly, as something to be revered in a sense that it should be respected. You shouldn't just, to use a term that Kant came up with, we should not be seeing lives as a means to an end. It should be an end in and of itself. Respect it. If it must be taken, it must be for a damn good reason. Shouldn't be so cavalier with life. And with human life, I mean, it's obvious, you know, we're humans, we're a human society, we care about human affairs, we don't want to destroy ourselves or other people around us. But you guys are going to have to understand that there are a whole lot of people, the ones who are in charge, the ones who gave us those rules, who actually made it as a rule, you know, put it into words, who don't necessarily follow it and won't think twice about killing you if it benefits them. And if you think I'm crazy, you haven't been paying attention to history much. Anyway, just some more stuff for you guys to think about and discuss. I like this little discussion stuff. I'm going to bed. Catch you guys later.